going on, people? It's Uncle Nick here. Today I'm going over the farmer's carry portion of the Arnold, what I'm doing, prepping for that. Now there are two main things I'm focusing on, and they're probably 2 out of the 3 biggest things outside of the pick is the acceleration and the speed. Now it's 60 foot, so it does give you an extra 10 feet that you normally would get in most farmers events. Everything's normally 50 to 60 foot in strongman, especially in the open division. So I'm working on that 60 foot, getting a little bit more of that top speeding gear and really accelerating. The fastest person to that top speed is usually gonna have one of the best times. It's like drag racing. Acceleration is key, and you gotta have it for the first half of that lane. Because if you do not have that acceleration, you're not gonna have I don't know how you don't notice things that go on in your background. Because I see them.
Dude, I lock in so hard because I know you guys are doing stuff, and I'm like, don't look at them, don't listen to anything, just do your job.
I can't not look at, like, it's in my peripheral.
Dude, it's like lifting for me. Like everything else gets shut out. I'm like, I can't pay attention to these people.
You gotta have that acceleration because you do not want to be approaching the halfway point when everyone else is crossing the finish line. So accelerating, generating that power out of the hole. Now, the pick has to go smooth, but there's really only a handful of ways. What are you doing? There's really only a handful of ways to pick it. I mean, especially after a certain weight, you're not gonna stagger step it. It's just not gonna happen because you're not gonna have any stability. So basically with the acceleration, we're working on having short choppy steps, keeping your feet underneath you, and almost kind of a forward tilt. The best way it clicks in my head is if you've ever watched a helicopter take off, the nose dips down and goes forward. It's the same concept with the farmers. They're gonna kind of pitch forward a little bit out of the beginning so you get the momentum. Now, you're basically playing with a sweet spot of falling over or not. That's pretty much what's going on. Same with how I do yoke and any other carry implement is I'm flirting with falling over and staying on my feet because you want that forward momentum, that slight forward lean, and that means you're moving as fast as you can before you get ahead of yourself and fall on your face. So to really practice that stuff, it takes time, takes reps, and figuring out where that point is. We're gonna get into a little more depth here real quick on what exactly it should look like when you're accelerating versus when you hit that second gear and get into the top speed in the second half of the actual carry. Let's go. So the main things to pay attention on the acceleration here are, if you notice when I pick, the sooner I get my hips underneath of me, that's when my first step actually starts. So you want to have your hips underneath of you. You don't want them behind you because then you're going to pick and literally drive straight into the ground again. But you want to have your hips under you while getting that first step in as soon as possible to start that momentum in the direction you're trying to go. My voice is cracked. You want to be in a hurry, but you don't want to rush. So it's gonna all fall back on smooth as fast because the smoother you are, the faster you're gonna be. I'm not gonna have the fastest pick because I'm not the biggest, strongest guy out there. I realize that. I'm coming in at 30 pounds lighter than everyone. I'm fast, and I'm gonna use that to my advantage. So what I'm trying to do is build on that speed. I'm not gonna get any stronger from now until game day. If I do, it's not gonna be significant enough that it's gonna matter. So I'm gonna try and build on what I can control, and that is my speed, my footwork. I can build a little bit of technique, stability in between now and then because I still have about 2 weeks of training. So that is what I can control. So that is what I'm going to work on. Now, the steps are super choppy and kind of violent in the beginning because I'm trying to generate power, get everything moving. So my first 10 steps are probably kind of pounding the ground essentially. And then I kind of speed it up a little bit once I get moving, get some momentum behind them. But you don't want to rush that because you will fall on your face if you get too far forward. So the main thing I really do to keep driving initially is I drive my chest forward. My shoulders are back just like you would on a squat or a deadlift. you kind of want that proud chest, because if your chest sinks, then your upper body's gonna fold and the farmers are going to sink and then in turn go into the ground. So I'm initiating that drive by pushing my chest out and driving my knee forward step after step. So if you pay attention, when I do make the actual pick, I'm scooping my hips through and pushing my chest out and continuing to drive my chest out all the way through the pick into my acceleration, all the way down the 60-foot lane. Alright, so as you can see, I'm no longer at the gym. I'm at home finishing up this video for you guys. Class was about to start. That is why it was getting so noisy in the background. So that's because 5 o'clock class was starting to roll in. I figured it would do you guys a disservice to try and talk over them. And not only you guys, but it would give the athletes a disservice because they deserve my 100% undivided attention as a coach. Back to where we were at, we were talking about acceleration, finishing that drive through the 60-foot lane. Now we are moving on to the speed portion after the acceleration, where you've kind of at your top speed and you're trying to just carry that through as fast as you can. I always think what's going through my head is a little bit faster, a little bit faster, a little bit faster. That is what's running through my head the whole time. Now, when I am in a competition setting and say you have other lanes beside you, which is what they normally do at a big show like the Arnold or Nationals or Worlds, is there's more than one lane going, sometimes 2, 3, or even 4 lanes, depending on how big the venue is. Last year at the Arnold, I believe they had 4 lanes for the carry implements. Especially if someone's close and they're in my direct line of peripheral, or they're somewhere out in front of me just a hair, that will push me to go even faster. Now, one little trick that works for training is have someone kind of speed walk or even jog beside you to kind of get you on that realm of the limit before you fall over. That is something I like to do when I have the ability, or people are too busy around me. I'll have them go next to me, whether I'm doing yoke, keg, sandbag carry, whatever it may be, and I have them go next to me and kind of stay a half a step ahead of me or 2 steps ahead of me the whole time, because it pushes me to go faster. Now what you'll see is you'll see less of a stomping or a chopping motion, and you'll see my drive start to turn into a shuffle where my feet kind of move really fast. Now I know I've said this before, but if you guys have ever seen Looney Tunes, the Roadrunner, from the waist up he is kind of floating, from the waist down his feet are a blur. That's the target, to just move those feet as fast as you can. The hips kind of start to shuffle back and forth, but that is okay. That is kind of how you get that movement, as long as your torso does not twist with your hips, because that will cause the instability that will slow you down and possibly cause you to kind of trip over yourself, and that side-to-side movement will absolutely slow you down. That is what you do not want. That wobble, not only will it slow you down, but it could also affect your grip. That bouncing and that side-to-side, especially the bouncing and jerking on your grip, that could cause you to drop the farmers, and that is what you do not want. You get a drop just about at any level, and it is detrimental to your placing, especially at a higher level, where in the span of 1 second, you could have 4 or 5 places right there, because 1 1/4, 1 1/2. I mean, it gets that close at the level like the Arnold and Worlds and Nationals. So a drop is absolutely detrimental. But as I was saying about the shuffle, you'll notice my stride starting to shorten up. My feet start to move faster. Everything starts to get a little bit smoother and a little less choppy, because I'm not driving for power now. I'm driving for speed. My stride actually might lengthen a tiny, tiny bit. It's almost hard to notice, but I can feel it because it's my body and I'm consciously doing it. Now, it's really hard to see on camera, but I'm telling you it's happening. And it's not going to be something you can look at and really see the difference. The main difference is how I'm striding. You'll notice that it turns into more of a shuffle versus a really hard chop to get up to speed, to input that power, and I'm trying to glide. What you're really going to be looking for is the hip movement and the leg movement, obviously, and the feet movement is that I kind of smooth out after I get through that choppy acceleration portion. Now, the best way to practice that is just like the acceleration, is reps and doing it repetitively, so you know where that speed, that break point is, from where you get too fast to where you kind of get ahead of yourself and you go too far forward and drop the farmers, and where you're in that fluctuation zone, that happy median of where you're kind of chasing yourself but you're not falling over yet. It's a very delicate place to be, and it will get more comfortable with time through the repetition. The main thing that I've noticed with my progression with farmers and any other carrying is doing an every minute on the minute. So at the top of every minute, you do a run, whether it's 100-foot with a turn at the middle, stop, drop, turn, pick up and go, or it's just 100-foot straight or 50-foot straight, whatever you guys have the capacity for. But that is my biggest recommendation. Do that for every minute on the minute for 10 minutes at like 50% and really push for speed and acceleration. I mean, really test your limit and see where that's at, because 50% should be light enough where if something does go wrong, you can just drop it and get away from it, or you can correct it. That is something I'll do for conditioning, and even double that up with like a giant set of carrying something else, and then or planking for the remainder of the minute, make it even more challenging. But you really want to be conscious of that effort to push for speed and push for acceleration. Not only will you get practice with that, but you get practice with the pick, the timing, all of that stuff. So that is really the main things I'm leaving you guys with. Maybe even a little bit of homework for those of you that are wondering how to improve any sort of carrying speed. The every minute on the minute stuff are hands down my go-to to practice that, especially when it's starting to get warm, summer outside. I can go outside and really do farmers for a long time and kind of get lost in it. It's mindless work, going for distance, whatever it may be. Dialing in that through repetition is absolutely crucial for movement stuff. Think of it as doing any other lift, deadlift, squat, bench, overhead press. You get better with it with time because, why? The repetition. It is the same exact thing here. Now, I'm just giving you my best method for how it worked for me and that I continue to make it work for me. Nothing else really has given me the format to do so with a carrying implement. You're under time, and by the time you get to the second half, the second 5 minutes, you're under fatigue, and it really teaches you how to really keep pushing for that speed under fatigue and power on demand. But I'm going to leave you guys with that. I really hope this gave you something to take away once again for your training, for your competition prep, event style stuff. I really hope this offers you guys something. Even when it's like video vlog style stuff, I try to incorporate something in there for you guys to take away. But that is all I got for you guys. Until the next time, you guys know what the deal is. Get out there, get after it, and embrace the suck.